Good evening, everyone. It's 6:33 p.m. on April 25th, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First up is our consent agenda, the minutes from April 11th, 2023. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll take the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from April 11th, 2023.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is warrants 0063 and 0065. Questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll take the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve warrants 63 and 0063 and 0065.
I'll second.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we'll do visitor comment. Any citizen wishing to speak before the committee must sign in with the administrative assistant prior to the opening of the regular session of the school committee. The visitor will identify themselves by name and address and shall speak for no longer than 3 minutes. For anyone unable to sign in ahead of time, we ask that you clearly state your name and address so that this information can be included in the record for the meeting. Do we have any visitor comments tonight? Okay. We're going to do, switch the order, and we'll do the Dino update first, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right, Dino update.
Great, thank you. I'm going to have Miss Jordan come on up and share a little bit of information on the process. I know we presented to the committee about this in late fall, early winter, and we're getting to a conclusion.
I'm so excited. So as you know, we originally started this, I will call it a project, back last year, early last year, a group of students. I'm going to read from this because it's a nice summary of our progress. As you may know, there's a district-wide contest to redesign the GPS Dinosaur that lives out front on the school lawn. This idea started with a group of students at Granby Junior Senior High School who felt strongly that our dinosaur should symbolize who we are as a community and what we believe in. This group believes that GPS is a welcoming and diverse community, and the dinosaur is one way to reflect that. Those conversations started amongst a fairly small group of students at Granby Junior Senior High School in the spring of '22. It is now providing an opportunity to all students from grades pre-K through 12 to submit their ideas and designs that symbolize the welcoming and respectful environment we all work so hard to maintain each and every day. So what we had started with was the first main contest that just included the high school, and it was suggested to open it up to everyone. So everyone, this became like the talk of the town, right? Because the last time this had all transpired, everybody wanted in, and the dinosaur was this big to-do. Well, it became a big to-do. Not just our student advisory council, but our student advisory council looped together with other leadership organizations in our school. And then we looped those in together with the building administration at East Meadow to launch this district-wide contest. We had several responses and submissions. There were over, I want to say, 120 submissions. East Meadow did dominate the submissions. And we kept extending it to get more because they just kept coming in. Then we closed it, then we got more. We're like, well, let's just reopen it because it was kind of fun, right? So we pulled that same group of kids that started the original intent to change the dinosaur back together, put them all at the table, and they went through every single one. And it was a really cool process. They wrote notes, what they liked about it, but really making sure that they were considering the main purpose of what we were doing here, to make sure the dinosaur was inclusive, to embrace all people irrespective of race, gender, disability, and other need. So when going through, we narrowed it down to 4. Actually, it was 3, and then several other designs got encompassed into one, made a 4th design. So Lila's was one of the main designs selected for her originality and inclusiveness. And as you know, I think you have an image of it in front of you. You have to look closely. It's awesome. It says welcome. So we have to work out the blues and everything. And we realized they don't have scales. We could add scales to the dinosaur out front, but that might be challenging. So the we put it back to vote with a Google form, sent the vote out to the Granby Junior Senior High School, then sent the vote out to East Meadow, and it was a 49% selection for Lila's. So Lila was the winner. Lila is in grade 2. We made an appearance yesterday here to congratulate Lila. We totally dropped in on Miss Merzda's class with no notice whatsoever, and we made a couple phone calls home to mom and to dad. And are you brother? What's your name? Weston. It's nice to meet you. So we have Lila here today, and it was really last minute, but we were, are you crying?
I'm just so sad. I don't know. I'm excited for you.
It is really pretty cool. We called home.
I'm with her. I'm like,
So we made a phone call home, and Miss Mercer was great because we totally just dropped in class. They were so focused. I was like, it's party! And they were all looking around, and her classmates were really excited. So we called mom. Mom didn't answer. And we texted mom. Snapped some photos. Had to retake some photos because they were blurry. But we ended up snapping some great photos with Mr. Rosenberg was in the photo, as well as Miss Andrea Merzda and Miss Lila. And we were able to connect with Dad and Mom and invite them here tonight. So Miss Lila, if you could, come forward. We have some flowers for you. And we have the design if you'd like to pass it around. This is the original. I'm going to give it back to you, okay, because I have a scanned copy of this. And we'd like you to frame that and keep that, okay? It's your original design. Here are your flowers.
Good job.
Congratulations. Job well done. Can't wait to see it painted.
I know, how exciting.
So the painting will start after I go to Home Depot and buy all the colors. So I'll have to figure out, hopefully we'll get a good deal on them, maybe an educator discount. But Abby Feldman will be painting the dinosaur, but we're gonna wait until we get through this weather first. We did it a couple weeks ago, that would've been great, because it would've dried in 5 seconds. But we have some rain in the forecast, so it'll give us some time to plan it out, so we're in the clear for weather. We should be done by June.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great job.
Great job. It's a really great design.
Love it.
Laura, do you want to show them the picture? You can see it a little better.
Pass it around if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You did such a nice job. Really good job.
I'm afraid to touch it. I'm gonna get tears on it.
Look over Rachel's shoulder.
We copied it. We have
Here, we'll
copied
make
it.
sure it stays away.
I know, so cute.
It's a great
That's
job.
awesome.
Good job.
Were you surprised yesterday, Lila? Yeah.
Now, did she know she was a finalist even?
Oh, really?
Did she know she was a finalist even, or?
She saw her dinosaur when we voted for the 4.
Okay.
So there were no names on it, and she
Yeah.
was number 4.
Yeah.
And we projected it up, and when we got to 4, a bunch of the students said, "We know that dino." And I said, "Shh," because we were trying to keep, the
Like a
names out of
blind?
it.
Yeah.
Unanimous in your class?
It
Number
was
4?
unanimous. Yeah, so
Well
we
done.
submitted our one number 4 vote, and
Yeah.
I actually knew because I read the RAM report from Mrs.
Yes.
Jordan, so I had to keep it very quiet until, and then when you came, I was surprised. They were great. We made a live call. We tried both numbers, mom and dad. We got mom, and Lila's a hard worker. She did an awesome job on this. She really did.
Awesome.
Would it be okay if we get a photo?
Yeah, can you take a picture? Is it okay to post on my Instagram? Why is that funny?
Molly came to support Lila. She sees her in the morning.
She's a little mini. Where do you want backdrop? Books.
Right over here?
Books in the library? Come over and oh, go
Right
ahead.
there? Yeah. Totally up to you guys.
Go ahead. You don't want to get in that? Maybe Mr. Sullivan's Instagram? No, I got in it yesterday. Very good. This is all you.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
job, Lila.
promise you my Instagram won't make you famous. We'll keep trying.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you
so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Okay, next we have the athletic fee proposal. Is Dylan coming?
I can speak to it if we need to.
No, Dylan is coming. I told him 6:40. So.
Do you want to skip to the enrollment dashboard?
Yeah, might as well.
Sure.
Okay, enrollment dashboard. So we should have new numbers in there, or we were
No,
going
it's the
after?
same numbers, but I do have some of the information that was requested.
Okay,
For the incoming kindergarten. Right now, we have 22 students who are currently enrolled in our pre-K program who have registered for kindergarten, and 16 additional students who are new enrollments. There are an additional 15 from the census that have not enrolled yet. 14 have not enrolled yet.
15 or 14?
14, sorry.
so 14 of the 22 are not enrolled?
14 total, in addition, have not enrolled.
All right, so the 22 is what now? The
22 are current students who are planning to.
Oh, are registered?
Yep,
There are pre-Ks.
yep.
Okay,
And then there's 16 who are not our pre-Ks who are registered for kindergarten next year.
so what's,
The 14 is from the census number, so again, that
Okay.
could change on a number of reasons that haven't enrolled at this point. We have heard from 2 of those who are not planning to attend. And then Children First has 14 students, and 5 of them have already, Children First has 6 students, 5 of them have already registered
for their kindergarten?
for our kindergarten.
Okay.
They have them as preschoolers
Yes.
that are going to register for our kindergarten next year.
Yes.
Or are already registered?
Correct.
Okay,
And then there's 1 student at Children First who's attending kindergarten at Children First.
only one of ours this year.
Yes.
And those 5 are not accounted for in the 16, well, they would be accounted for in the 16 new
Yes.
enrollments.
Yes, they are.
Got it.
Okay. So,
So right now, we're at 40. give or-
38,
oh, I got up to 42 and then subtracted the 2.
22, and 16.
16 and 14.
14 have not enrolled.
Oh, got it. I was counting them.
all right. Can you just say that, so
There's
I
38
gotta start
enrolled,
over.
14 not enrolled
Yep.
38
from the
enrolled
census.
from, this is census, 14 not.
So I meant to say 50. But if we included those 14, because on it, like the census kiddos, 'cause they
Mhm.
could enroll, they could not enroll, that number could be low, that number could be high, we'd be at 50, right?
52.
What are you not?
I took away the 2 that have called from the census and said they were not in.
Oh, I see what you're
Enrolling.
saying,
50,
yes.
Yes.
Did my math, man.
50, yes.
I
am
didn't know
like-
where you lost those 2.
The numbers
they're
are
not
just not.
attending.
Yeah, I get it.
I am not, yeah, okay.
I wrote it all out as he was doing it.
Well, I started late, and so the numbers are not matching up. No.
Which 50s, that's for next year, which obviously is still up in the air. But that, right
that's
there, we might
50
need another K.
So that's 50 total,
And we have planned for 2Ks, yeah.
Correct.
so 50 is total potential or total definite kindergartens.
Not definite,
We
it's
have
potential.
38 registered.
38 definites.
So 38, so 2 classrooms for 38
19.
is,
Did-
is good, right? 19 each is okay
Yeah,
for
that's
kindergarten?
totally doable.
Yep.
I think our class right now is like 37, 38.
Yep.
Okay, but the 14 not enrolled are from the census, but we don't actually know if they're still here or not, right?
Correct. They have not enrolled as of yesterday.
And they're just a number, it's not like we have names.
We have names.
We do.
Yeah, and we sent a letter out to everybody in the census, but have not heard any, not received a response from 12 of those 14.
Okay, and the other 2 are the ones that said they're not enrolling. But but they're clearly, there is one of those 2 going to CF?
No,
Okay.
not based on what we have, or at least isn't currently at CF and planning to stay at CF.
Okay.
I mean,
So the CF numbers for Granby residents is lower than it's been.
well, I was gonna say, did we
There's-
ask her if they've, I think they only just sent out their fall registered papers this past week, because I just filled it out for my kiddos this past week, so they don't even know their numbers yet for K for next
But
year.
he just said 5 out of the 6 are registered here from Children First, so
Right,
there's only
and one
one.
is planning on staying, right,
At
but like
Children
of
First.
those 14, you know, anybody else
Oh.
could be potentially, maybe they're not sending their preschooler there, but they could decide to send their kindergartner there, you know.
Right, okay. I
And
see
you
what
are
you're saying.
right, they are included in that 38. The CF who have enrolled are included in that.
Yeah, they're in the
38.
16. Yep. I don't know, I feel like even 38, that's already at 19 and 19, which is like a pretty perfect number,
Trying to find where is
speaking
it?
as a former K teacher for 16 years.
Okay, so we didn't have any open in kindergarten or in pre-K. But we've received 2 applications. That number 2 keeps coming up, so they're not the 2 that said they wouldn't have been the 2.
On here, though, is that last year's
School
application?
choice, oh, so this should be school choice 23, 24, right?
Yeah, which I don't think.
Which I don't think we have yet.
Okay. So the homeschool is for this current school year?
Yes.
Because that's where it gets to be sticky, is like, if the number ends up being
Right.
38, you're fine. If the number's 45, you know, then you want to open another K, and then you do want school choice.
Right, and that's what we've gone around and around with is, you know,
But if you have that number 12, let's say, looming out there with the census data, at this point, I don't know that there's not. I don't know, I don't see how there's room, knowing that there's the potential 12 residents
Yeah.
that could opt to enroll.
right. And then that,
Unless a number of those residents enroll, then
Right, then we have to
You
look at
could
something
look at-
totally different.
Mm-hmm.
so, I don't, this is beyond my,
So at this point, though, we could, I know, because school choice is on the discussion right now, not that we want to get into that yet. So I don't know if we just, okay, this is
well,
the
that's
info
what
right
we were,
now.
that's what we were supposed to be.
Oh, I thought it was.
No,
okay.
just,
yeah, it
that's,
was just to get these numbers, and then the other number that she sent was, I don't know if you want this number yet, it's a much more manageable number. Kindergarten going into first grade, there is 1 Granby resident, and Children First believes that that student is going to a private first grade.
Only one, huh?
And they believe they have 3 who are interested in school choice, and I think I had said last time, we already have 8 applications for choice into that first grade.
Which we can't house 8. You said there's 8 applications?
There's 8 applications.
for just first grade.
Correct.
I'm trying to find my notes from when we had the discussion last. wanted to see.
What's that class's current number? Are they like 38 together? 37?
Current K?
Yeah. Level, okay. Trying to find it
It's
on
at
here. 37.
7 now, because we added one last month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep pressing.
That added one was there last month? Yeah.
A student returned in February, so I think we're on the dashboard.
Yeah, it said relocated from
Yeah, out of
out of
state.
state.
So I think, obviously, it's a number we have to keep a close eye on for a number of reasons. 'Cause
Right.
if we
Mm-hmm.
spill over, and it might open up school choice, if it stays under, then it's doubtful that school choice would open in K for next year.
Right, and I
But
mean,
it
it's,
is, yeah, we're on a razor's edge, and I think we were there last year, we were at like 36, 37, I think it got up to 39 at one point, then back down to 35.
well, and the last time that's been 2 Ks, I know it is this year, but it's when our 6th graders were in K, and they were 25, I'm pretty sure.
It was like
Was it?
23,
Yeah,
24.
23, 24, They would- and it's a big group
It's a big
for
group.
K,
Yeah,
you know?
So do we wait until another meeting, our next meeting, to see if we can make any further decisions? Because I don't know that we can.
When did those letters go out, Stephen, about?
I am not sure, I would say they've been out for,
I'm just curious if it was like the last week or two,
it's
or?
been closer to a month,
Okay.
I would say.
I don't need an exact, I was just thinking, like, is it something that people received
Yeah,
more
we had
recently?
kindergarten
or-
registration on March 7th, 8th, and 9th. So it went out, I think, just before that, so it's been out a month
So-
and a half.
Mm.
In the proposed school choice, the Ks is at 41. And now we're saying 38?
We're 38 enrolled. Plus some others.
So we're missing 3 of the
We're
projected?
Actually over
Mhm.
what was on the census.
So the 41 came from the previous year's census numbers.
Yep,
So
this is
really,
up
if
to
this
date.
got replaced, it would say 52. If you just use this
52
year's
with-
census.
Yes, with those two, we're not, yep.
Okay.
But you're trying to just break it down and saying, we already know
These
2
ones
are
are coming.
going somewhere else, so
Yep.
we're down to 50, and then of those, this is where we haven't heard from, and
Yes.
so on and so forth.
So we did say we had we might have room for first grade, right? But we have 8 applications and less than that for spots.
I would say we definitely have less than 8 spots. I think the conversation around that first grade class was, could we get 1 or 2 or 3 potentially? And I think the children first was a question.
Mhm.
There's no residents coming from children first, and I think Audrey had asked about homeschool. But we don't have any new information on any new first graders other than the children first.
It's just, again, it's already kind of, at least these first couple of years, when they're learning how to read, like the smaller groups and the younger grades. There, I mean, as many grades you can get it in, but even more so in those early years. You also have your social emotional stuff that, you know, you're trying to direct teach and, it's nice to keep those classes small. So right now they're at that 35. We tried to add an 8, that's 2, so.
I did speak to Megan about homeschool, and she said historically we haven't had many homeschool students return when they've been homeschooled, but she said it has happened on a rare occasion.
I just didn't know if there was any that were slated to be that first grade, you know, just to keep in your
Yep.
thought.
And have we heard any movement, like, you know, we've seen over the past couple years more at the 6th grade to 7th grade leaving, and then, you know, 7th and 8th grade transition for class, but I'm just wondering if the 6th grade still seems the same at the 57, or have we heard anything about anybody,
I don't have anything official from
anybody?
people leaving.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's really the other grades that are the bigger.
No, I know, but the, you know, just, it's like, just so we know where we're at when we're trying to get to that magic number 21 for classrooms used here.
Yes, but so like for that magic number, it's having 2 grades that have 2 classes each. So 6th, that next group coming in that's going to become 6 is a big class.
Because they're at 57.
Mm-hmm. That's why the hope was for these 2 K and 1s to keep going all the way up, staying small.
Yeah.
And that'd buy us another 6 years, you know? Or 5, anyway. I mean, in any normal circumstances, this is a good problem to have, like, you know?
Yeah, and there's just, unfortunately, not definitive information right now. We're going off of census numbers that aren't always accurate,
Yeah.
and
People don't fill it
some
out either.
people
so-
some people fill out and register right away, some people wait.
So this number of classrooms on the proposed seats only adds up to 19. I thought our magic number was 21.
In pre-K, there's 2.
Oh, they're not on this list. Okay.
Does this also include our, the number 19 is still with our other programming too?
Yes.
So do we, I just don't know. I just don't know.
I don't believe and I don't want to speak for you, but I don't believe the intention was to take any action tonight. It was just
Okay, just
to
an
provide
update, yeah.
information. Because we did not have the children first numbers last time.
Yep.
So I said we would get you those. And, you know, obviously keeping an eye on.
Well, also, we, the way our letter reads, it's, we said notification by when?
I think it
And
says
is-
prior to July 1st.
Okay.
And
So,
the lottery has to happen prior to July 1st. I think we have it scheduled for June 23rd or
yeah,
24th.
something at the end of June, so I'm just, I would like to have the full committee here for that discussion, so I'd say we'll definitely put it back on, and we'll see if we have any movement on those other, for lack of a better word, just like outliers, you know,
At
the,
our next meeting, we'll have an updated enrollment
Da-
dashboard
dashboard as
from
well.
April.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a lot of change, but
you never can tell, right? So,
would you like, just moving forward under enrollment dashboard, to leave school choice discussion until we're ready to?
I
put it
think so,
to a
just
vote?
because I think we're a moving target, and we have we have that deadline, June 23rd, so we need to know where we're at for how many seats to have in the lottery at that point.
Okay.
Agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Um,
Athletics.
oh,
Mhm.
oh, there he is. I can see. Dylan, athletic fee proposal.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, this is just to, I think, give a heads up not to vote tonight, but, we're requesting to move the athletic fee from $150 to $200. The rationale is the increase around sports, that's coaches, officials, gas, uniforms, equipment, field and court supplies, everything's on the rise, athletic trainers. The impact from this year would be about $10,000 more toward the athletic budget for next year if we were to have increased it this year. The discounts for student athletes and families would still stay the same. So right now we have, if you have multiple athletes participating in the same season, 10% for the second athlete, 20% for the third. If they happen to have more, it just goes up by 10%. We would use the district's free reduced lunch criteria for people that are financially struggling to discount their user fees. And then since we co-op out for multiple sports, we would charge the $200 for the Granby user fee. And then certain sports, other schools ask for more money and they would be required to pay that additional cost.
Just the difference between what the other school charges and us, is that what you're saying?
Like
So
hockey
if
has
you-
usually has additional fees that's above and beyond the user fee.
Right. Yeah,
So-
yeah, they would pay, between us and the other school, they would meet that other school's
Yeah.
user fee.
So I know the way that they have done it in the past with swimming, like South Hadley, when it was just South Hadley and Granby, South Hadley's user fee was higher than ours, but they accepted just the Granby user fee and there weren't any additional fees. But I had heard for hockey, they accepted our user fee, but every athlete was asked to pay additional for uniforms or extra ice time or tournament fees or things like that. That was like separated from a user fee. So it might be different now, but
Yeah, I can't speak on, excuse me, the past, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
where does this put us in relation to other schools' user fees?
so comparable, I think a lot of schools from being at AD meetings are looking at increasing a little bit. There is a spreadsheet that's an older document where it's kind of all over the place.
Right, ranges, some districts don't have a user fee at all, and then there are districts that are 300, 400 or more per sport. And then some districts do it tiered based on, cross-country, soccer, some of those at the lower end, football, hockey, some of those that are having a higher set of fees. So in our discussion, we thought a flat fee for us was a better approach, but with the co-ops, knowing that it's going to vary depending on who we're co-oping with in any given year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the link to how it might look if we applied this year's registrations to a $200 fee. As I made the note that I'm not able to see exactly how many families, how many fall registrations were multiple families to see how that discount would matriculate through it or work its way through, but it gives us a ballpark figure to work from.
I know part of what Dylan and Todd in their work have said to share this here now so you can ask questions, get feedback, and if this were to be adopted, time to get information out to families well in advance of fall athletics for next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's another thing, we don't have the budget on the agenda tonight, but inflation isn't ignored athletics.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that was a point in like the discussion of budgeting and where things were. And I think one point that was on here was it's been 6 years since, user fees have been looked at or increased or adjusted in any way too. And obviously a lot's changed in the past couple years, let alone the past 6. So while nobody wants to see fees increase and we want to make sure things are accessible to students, there are, things that we have to consider in making sure that they're there to be offered in the first place. So.
And I don't know if it's still a thing, but I know that it's, despite the free lunch, but if there's a family that's having hardship, there's always been, it seems like there's always been resources, whether it's Booster Club or PTOs, if someone really wants to play something, but they don't necessarily qualify for free lunch, if there's an issue. I know that we've always done our best to try to help kids be involved if that's how they're choosing to do it, so.
Yeah, I think we've tried to, go with the policies in place, but also know that
Right.
sometimes there's unforeseen and extenuating circumstances and try to work with people, of course.
Yeah, we try to get people.
Yeah, we don't want it to be prohibitive. in
Right,
any way.
exactly. That's what I was trying to say. You did that much more eloquently than I did. I appreciate that. So would this be something we'll see for a vote for next time? So it's
Yep.
kind of like a first read?
Yeah, so if you had questions or feedback, we can certainly take it back. And what the plan would be to put it on the agenda for May 9th. Or if there's anything else that you'd like us to do prior to then, we're happy to do that. But we felt sharing the information, some rationale behind it, at least giving some context initially, we thought would be, rather than just throwing it on a meeting and putting you in a position to vote, so.
Any additional questions?
None.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see
Thank
you
you,
in May.
Dylan.
Okay, superintendent's report.
So, again, just want to reiterate, and we have some messages going home next week, but we did make a calendar change to the May early release day. So both schools will be dismissed early on May 10th, not May 17th. Early dismissal is May 10th. So want to make sure families are aware of that, and we have some messages going out leading up to that date. As I said last time, testing really does ramp up in May. The assessment calendar is very busy. There are some changes that get made at in grades 3 through 8. We have a MCAS window, so it allows some flexibility. But we do have the assessment calendar posted under curriculum on our website, so families can access it there. Want to remind people that the second annual all sports banquet is scheduled for Sunday, May 7th. It is at 10 a.m. at the Log Cabin in Holyoke. We're also planning the basketball court ribbon cutting for Friday, May 19th. I do believe the school committee has a flyer in their folder tonight. So there's some more information on that as an invite. And we have touched about summer programming a couple of times. Again, I said last time I had hoped that we would be further along this year, but unfortunately we're not. But we did identify our summer coordinator, Mr. Scott Taylor from East Meadow, is going to be the summer coordinator for enrichment and extended school year at East Meadow, collaborating with myself and Megan Shepard. All programming for the summer is scheduled to be 8:30 to 11:30. The extended school year will be July 5th through 27th, and enrichment will be July 10th through 27th. So it's just 3 weeks for enrichment and 3.5 weeks for extended school year. I met with Mr. Taylor today. He is working on a interest form to go out to families this week. So hopefully families can if they're interested, respond to that. That'll help our planning. I do anticipate it'll be more of a, not quite summer camp, but it's not going to be 1 week of STEM and 1 week of math support. It's going to be more of a schedule where they want to make it fun and engaging and have games and activities, but related to literacy and math work. So, that's all that I have for today.
Okay, Todd?
So I'm preparing a town meeting kind of summary sheet that is similar to what was done last year. I think when we adjourn to work groups, I'll share my draft of it, looking for feedback and ways that we can prepare that for that meeting. I spoke with Chris on Tuesday just to talk about the process of what our article will look like. Still looking for a little bit of feedback on the transportation piece of it. So I have sent an email to communicate to him this week as well, to see what that number will look like. Talked about the RFP. He's going to send me a standard form to move the process along. So I'm waiting for that. So.
Any questions?
I didn't until I read further down here, there was wish list for the play, which was in our folder previously, wasn't it?
I just forgot to take that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Jill?
Our next meeting is the 31st of May, so you won't hear from me for a little bit.
Okay. So we're going to adjourn to work groups. However, we're missing a couple of members tonight, so I'm wondering, for community relations, we can talk about the draft of the sheet. That's where we're going to talk about that. And you guys have evaluation and policy. So I'm wondering if how long you guys want, because it's really
Policy is going to probably be the bigger one right now, because we have a bunch of stuff to sort through and figure out.
So with the fact, do you want to only do policy tonight, or I mean, I'm just wondering how.
Do we want to meet back at like 8 o'clock and see if we need more time at 8? And we're both groups, so we can do both.
I think
if we finish one, we can jump into the other, but we'll meet back at 8 and then see if we need more time from then.
Sounds great. All right.
Okay.
Okay, policy.
Can we start with evaluation?
Sure, evaluation.
Cool. Okay, so with evaluation, we just talked about our next meeting. Stephen will present. And so as long as everyone's okay with it, we'll do things very similar to what we did last year. So I'll have hard copy of folders, so that if people want to use that, that's fine. There'll also be the electronic copy that gets pushed out on Friday. We said the 5th?
Yep.
May 5th? That's right before.
I'm going to include it in my update.
The 9th meeting, the May 9th meeting, and so that way everyone can make a copy for themselves. Please rename it, please save it. If you want to use that at, in the May 9th meeting to type on, you can, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then we set a due date of the 15th that they're completed and then emailed to me for compiling. And that way it'll be all set to go for the 23rd meeting.
Okay. Excellent.
And then we'll keep everything the same in terms of just adding all the comments and, totaling all the ratings and all those pieces, if that still works.
So how is that looking as far as timelines for the other members?
That's why we have it set up that way, because
Because I thought the election was May.
17th or 18th?
16th.
16th,
That's why we have
sorry.
everything
15th.
back by the 15th.
Okay, so everything, all right, so even if it's not presented to you, everyone's comments will have been in front, okay, great. I just wanted to clarify. Perfect.
Mhm. So that's why we went back and forth with the dates. Okay. That's all for that.
Okay. Policy.
Do you want to talk about it?
no.
Okay. So with policy, of course, we went through the field trip.
Not as eloquent.
We went through the field trip policy. So ours currently is the IJOA. But then we had referenced mask and what was kind of put out in terms of the IJOA, JJHR, and JJH, which are like 3 separate policies that are pretty succinct and streamlined and seem to make a lot of sense and include everything, where ours has a lot of information that I think gets a little bit tricky to kind of interpret and figure out exactly what was intended with all of it. So we had a lot of discussion about going back and forth, and I know kind of on our own, we had gone through other, districts' posted policies and had seen, at least in my kind of looking through it, seen things similar to what was the 3 separate policies that were pretty specific. No, not specific, pretty general in terms of just making sure all of these things were met. And we talked about potentially moving in that direction. And then just potentially listing something or adding some language in there about specific procedures that the superintendent would serve to establish being outlined in handbooks. So that, if there was, district internal policy of making sure there were, 10-to-1 with chaperones, or that there were different things like that that wanted to happen in certain ways, that there would be a way to have that known, but not necessarily a part of a policy.
Okay, so you think you'll have something to bring forward for a first read soon-ish?
I hope so.
Okay.
And really, the first read would be for the policies. Some of the, I think, procedural stuff that Jill is referencing is going to take some time and some work that we would have in next year's.
Right, but the policy
Student.
is what guides us, so we,
Yep.
we need to have that part.
Yeah.
So I think the policies, as if they were to go forward as suggested, I think it's 1 or 2 lines getting added, and then it's 3 new policies replacing the current one.
Mhm. So the majority is already there with what we needed.
Excellent. Okay. And so we did community relations. It was just Todd and I, and we looked at the flyer for the that we'll hand out at town meeting and try to get out there. He and I were talking, and I think what I'd like to do is add either somehow on the front or on the back what the total reductions equates to, because that was a question that kept coming up. So like kind of what you had presented during our budget presentation or whatever, just because that was like, well, what does that mean if you have to cut $74,000 or $75,000 from nursing? Is that one full position or whatever? And we can explain around that. It may not be this exact picture, but these cuts equal this amount, just like we had done, because I think it relates it to people more when we're talking about cuts. And then the other thing is, do we have an additional piece of paper that shows what it looks like without the town allocation?
We certainly could, to include on a separate handout.
Yeah, separate handout, like, I hate to say it, like the doomsday report, like what it looks like without that allocation. because I think it almost, I feel like we have to outline what that means. Like I feel like based on comments that we've heard at past town meetings, there's people that think that we have too much money already.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to capitalize and put it out there that if that additional town allocation is not there, what?
See, and I spin it to the, what if we had something that said, like, all the expense increases that there have been?
That's already
which would make
on.
our total budget.
It's already on that flyer under expense drivers, just like, it's like the same slide. Do you think it needs to be bigger, maybe?
I thought we had 2 pages last time.
No, he had,
It's been a one-pager.
I'm
I don't
thinking of,
know that
like,
we can
we
do
had a
second
couple,
page.
we had a couple years ago, we had multiple handouts, but this is the one
Okay.
that we did last year. 2 town meetings ago, when we were out at the tent, we had multiple handouts.
And I think like budget development, we could remove and make that bigger too.
I know, I'm just thinking from the standpoint of, like, our percent increase of our total budget is how much this year compared to last year.
Yeah, so highlight that more, maybe?
Do you know what I mean? Rather
Yeah.
than, and then we only, as a budget, we only went up however much percent. Because we're swallowing and like the fact that we're working on not a service level budget.
Right.
You know, we already did make cuts, never mind that 600, like kind of, like how can we highlight that more? You know?
Do you remember how much advance notice we had to give the moderator?
Well, one of them, we were helping them make packets the morning of, so it would probably be something we just need to check with Chris. It doesn't have, it needed to be like spot checked before, but we had permission to print it, we brought our own.
Okay.
So, I think.
So if we got it something early,
Right.
middle of next week.
Yeah, I
to
think it should be fine.
the
It might,
next
it might be
Yeah.
worth verifying with Chris, just what the,
I don't know, just, I don't, not, but like the fact that we are not working with the service level budget. Like, as is, like, level service, like, flip the words around. I don't know if it's necessarily needed though, but I'd rather go that way rather than doomsday. I don't know.
well, I'm worried that if someone makes an amendment, because we don't know how it's going to appear. We don't know if it's going to be a separate thing or,
Yeah, I sent it to the Finance Committee prior to our last meeting. I have not received anything back from them.
okay,
I
so
haven't been able to watch all of their meetings.
I don't want to put any negativity thoughts out in the universe, but it's a concern, so.
Well, I think, like, historically and what we've tried to, and I mean, and you talked about it initially, right? Like, giving the information and making sure people equate it to something tangible.
Mhm.
So, like, what does this look like in terms of, like, the cuts that we've made and, like, moving forward, what this looks like? I feel like as much as we understand what that would do for the district, I don't know that anyone thinking about it in terms of just looking at that number would necessarily understand what that would do. And I don't know how or what makes sense in terms of getting that information out there or kind of being prepared for it. But I'm wondering if that's what you're thinking too, is like you don't want to be in a situation where then the question's raised.
Right.
Well, then, if that wasn't there, what would this look like? So then
Right.
you're kind of on the spot.
So maybe
Trying
we
to
just
answer
prepare it
that.
for us, so we have the information so that we're not caught off guard if there's debate and we have to go up and answer.
Or at least just so it's clear. Like, we
Right.
know it would, like,
What that additional
decimate quite of,
600.
Right. But I do like your thought about, not having the level service and putting that on, and, I think it's okay to have a front and back, so we have the whole back side if we want to readjust or whatever, but I do want to kind of highlight where the impact will be with the cuts that we've already made, like what that means, and we were talking about what the difference from 23 to 24 is, like things that, on top of, explain to them how it's not level service, but like
I
this is
mean,
what we
for me,
had,
this
and
is
what
always
we're
one of
losing.
those tricky ones, because at the same time, I don't want to be scaring our current families away from us either, thinking, oh, they made all these cuts, now they're not, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like balancing that line of letting people know, we did have to make some cuts, but how we're creatively doing that and trying to not impact student learning is, that.
Right. I just
So,
think it's always the question that comes out, and it just,
I know.
and so I that's what we talked about anyway.
Another thing that I don't know if it was discussed or should be included, it's separate, but I think connected. Last year, we had proposed about $2 million in capital improvement requests that were approved. This year, our request is closer to $80,000. Again, not that
Should put
that
it on
difference
there.
should be put but I think we were conscious of that as well. when we
And
went
also, I
forward
mean,
with it.
we haven't
Should we
even
put it on the sheet that we,
and we haven't even spent
Haven't-
any of the money, like,
Correct.
we're only at half of the amount. So those are things but mostly since it was community relations, we didn't talk about the number part so much, but we focused on, like, this should go, once we have the final version of this, it should go out in the RAM report, it should go out in the East Meadow thing, it should be posted on Instagram, do we, like, how to push it out there, ask Booster Club, PTO, GAA, any kind of thing, just try to get it out there, but I think we have the family part covered for our constituents, but I don't know how to get it to the community at large, and that's where we sort of struggled with it
well, the other part too is
it's
that
making the leap.
it's
I'm not
so
sure.
hard to find, okay, we know the town meeting's at this day, what time? Like, that kind of stuff too. Like, it's not, the website's not updated the last I looked. I haven't looked in 2 weeks, I'll admit. But that's part of it too, to get people to come to the meeting or whatever, or realize,
I think it's out there, because I saw something on the
Yeah.
windows at the high school.
Okay.
I think,
I haven't been over there in a couple weeks.
so, but, I just don't know how to get it beyond,
I mean, we could just grab some of these flyers and bring it to the senior center and
right? So that's,
shops around town.
so that's where,
Is that,
that's the piece
I don't
where,
remember if this is what that one year I went around with something, I don't remember what it was.
I don't think it was, I thought it was for something else, but I can't remember.
I
Maybe it
can't
was-
either.
Maybe, I think it was for one of the public forum, like try to get
Maybe.
people
Yeah.
to come to the forum, so, so that's what we talked about. Anything further on either of those? Okay, with that, anything else for the next meeting?
While you're thinking, if I can just throw it out there that the Granby Junior Senior High School has their arts night planned for Thursday, May 4th, at 5:30 at Junior Senior High School, so.
Excellent. If there's nothing else, then we'll vote to go into executive session. We'll vote now to enter into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Part A3, to discuss strategy with regard to collective bargaining, as doing so in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will not return to open session.